which is why one should make very good use of this human form. There's only this one opportunity, and if you miss this opportunity, then you'll have to go through million life forms again. We'll understand what is the consequence of that in chapter 14. Okay, before
It's like
that,
you miss the bus to be at his feet, Mataji.
Sunita Mataji, sorry, could you please repeat?
I said it's like you missed the bus to be at Krishna's feet.
You missed the bus, yes. Jai. With that, I fall at the lotus feet of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Mai, Sudarshanji, Lakshmi Narsimha, Gaur Nitai, Panchatattva, and the Guru Parampara. Let them always guide us in the path of Krishna consciousness. Okay. And Sunita Mataji, do you want to try these prayers, please?
Yes, Mataji. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Our obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And on Gita Mahatmya today, Devaki Nandana Krishno Gita Patane Tushyati Yatana Vedhe Danena Yagna Tirtha Vrata Dibihi. The son of Devaki, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, cannot be satisfied by anyone's study of the Vedas, charity, sacrifice, pilgrimage, or any kind of vows, as much as he is satisfied by the devotional recitation of Gita. Okay. Why do you think this is so? Why won't Vedas, charity, sacrifice, pilgrimage, vows, why do you think, as per your experience and what you've heard so far, why is this said so that nothing can beat just reading the verses of Gita? What's your understanding?
Mataji, one is basically it's no different than the Krishna itself.
What, Gita is no different from Krishna? Okay.
Yeah, and it's Krishna's Vani itself. Krishna has spoken the Gita.
Okay.
Another is basically it's a top secret what God would have shared with anyone, which He shared in the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, so it's Bhagwan Vani, and hence it's auspicious. But my question is, why can't the Vedas, charity, sacrifice, pilgrimages, why can't they give you the same?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Kalyani Mataji.
They all come under the category of Karma Kanda, as whereas recitation of devotion, Gita comes under supreme devotional service to Krishna.
Okay, but
Spiritual.
what if I
It's
go to a pilgrimage where Krishna is being worshipped? Is that still Karma Kanda then? Or I give a sacrifice, I give a donation to a Go Seva.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
See, Mataji, here you are actually putting your mind and intelligence into reading Bhagavad Gita. So when you serve Krishna with your entire mind and intelligence, that is the supreme way of serving Krishna.
Absolutely.
All the others are secondary.
Perfect. Good thoughts, Kalyani Mataji. I completely agree with what you said. Before I say speak out on this verse, anybody else had any other thoughts?
Actually, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Actually, before reading Bhagavad Gita, we don't know about this. What is actually karma and what we do not do.
Yes.
After the reading the Bhagavad Gita, actual knowledge is gained.
Yes. When you read Bhagavad Gita, you understand what kind of charity is good, what kind of sacrifice is good, what is your mood, what kind of mood you should have when you go to a pilgrimage. It's said in Bhagavad Gita in the coming chapters that when one does charity must be done to the right person, right time, and and to a worthy person. Okay, right place, right time, and worthy person. Otherwise, that charity is going to trap the person who's giving a charity in deeper karma. Right? What if you give a charity and that person is using that donation for not Krishna conscious activities? Right? So let's say he's buying some non-veg, or he's spending some food, spending on some food that shouldn't be eaten, or intoxication. That could happen, right? You might feel this is a poor man, let me give him some charity, but ultimately use this money, your money, into some activity. So who's getting the karma of that charity then? So when you're giving a charity, it should be given to a worthy person, to a worthy cause. Similarly, sacrifices. All of us do a lot of sacrifices day to day for Krishna. But sometimes when we are doing fasting, we also start, instead of thinking of Krishna all the time, though we are fasting, we have taken it like one of those to do things. Ekadashi will fast. But at the same time, what do we do? On the background, some TV might be playing, some raunchy numbers will be playing. Somebody else in the family does not follow Ekadashi, so they do their own thing. But though you're trying to focus on your, tapas, or whatever sacrifice you're trying to do, you're getting distracted. So there's a lot of klesha going on in the environment around us, lot of conflicts, right? It's not easy in Kali Yuga to do charity. Though you want to do charity with a good intention, how is that charity going to be used? Because the person receiving the charity should also be of the Krishna conscious mentality. When you're doing a sacrifice, your family should come together in supporting that sacrifice. Otherwise, it might feel that you're getting constantly diverted into other things. When you're reading Vedas has a lot of knowledge. It's not just limited to Krishna conscious knowledge. It also gives you karma kanda activities. It also gives you how to attain moksha. So it gives you a variety of knowledge. But what do materialistic people do? They'll pick up the things that work for them and reject the parts that don't work for them. So reading Vedas, or any scriptures for that matter, it should be done under the guidance of a guru. It should not be done whimsically or to your requirements. It should not happen. Even pilgrimages, right? When we go to pilgrimages, one should not go with the attitude of, like, touristy spots. Let me be the first one. Like recently, there was a stampede in Kumbh Mela. What could have possibly led to a stampede? Possibly one group wanted to rush, take a dip before the other people. That could be a possible cause, or there was too much commotion. Ultimately, it's me over everybody else kind of attitude. You'll see that in most temples, whenever it's crowded, it's crowded, people are pushing each other. Why? Because they don't want to keep a organized way of moving around in the temple. They want to be the first one to have the darshan, the one who stays the longest and has the darshan, all that. But everybody is thinking about their self versus let everyone grow together. So all these thoughts, all these things that go in the, what is the consciousness when person goes through a pilgrimage, what is the consciousness when they're doing a charity, all of these are different things that come into play when you do all these things. Though technically these things are good thing, but your consciousness of how you do this activity is the main thing that gives you the outcome of your activity. Does that make sense? Right? So consciousness is something we need to be very aware of. And this chapter, especially chapter 14, which is the 3 modes of material nature, it talks about consciousness. It talks about you and me, everyday activities. What are the, why do some people react differently to some situations versus why do some people react differently to other situations? So there is always impact of 3 modes of material nature on any activity we do, even though it's technically an auspicious activity in material sense. Even then, material nature can put some kind of obstacle in the way the process is done. So hence, like Avaduta Prabhu rightly said, the right thing to do is engage your mind, your intelligence in reading Gita. In that way, even if that person is of the lowest mentality, of in the mode of ignorance, eventually the discipline of reading Gita will get them to a higher mode. From ignorance, they'll come to Rajaguna. From Rajaguna, they'll move up to Sattva Guna. And eventually from Sattva Guna, a person who is in Shuddha Sattva is the most eligible person to receive this knowledge of Krishna, devotion to Krishna. So this way, Bhagavad Gita is a very nice teacher of all the humanly behavior that one should imbibe in their day-to-day life. Okay. With that, let's move on to chapter 14. I think I already gave an introduction to this chapter. So we are going to talk about the 3 modes of material nature. So last chapter, we spoke about the 24 elements, which is a field of activity for a body. 24 elements. Now, of that, can someone tell me, do you remember in the same sequence, what are those 24 elements that we discussed yesterday?
Panchabhutas,
Yes.
and then
5 senses, Mataji.
mind,
Which,
intelligence, false ego,
no, let's try to list it in the same order.
sequential.
Yes.
So Panchbhutas, 5 senses, followed by 5
5 intelligence gaining senses, then
Mhm.
5 working senses, then 5 objective of the senses, and then the subtle body,
Yes.
and then the pradhana.
Pradhana. Correct.
Pradhana. Yes.
Okay. The sequence is perfect. Now, out of these 24 elements, there is one element that controls the rest of the 23 elements. Which one do you think that is?
mind,
Intelligence, Mataji.
Mind.
No.
No.
Not mind, not intelligence. One
It is
last
the
chance.
soul.
Soul
Pradhana.
is
Ego.
Pradhana is the right
Pradhana.
answer. Yes.
Modes
So
of material nature, yes.
yes, unmanifest mode of material nature. That's Pradhana. That controls the other 3 elements. And how is that? That we'll understand today. Okay. So with that, let's get started right into this chapter. So remember, chapter 14 talks about 3 modes of material nature. It just gives a high level introduction to 3 modes of material nature. Then again, the same topic is picked up in chapter 16 and 17. We go into much depth. So you can understand how important this topic is, right? If you read the first verse here, Krishna is also confirming the same. So this verse says, does someone want to read this, or shall I go ahead?
Can I, Mataji?
Yes, Jayanthi. Yes, go ahead.
Shri Bhagavan Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnanam Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajnatva Muniyas Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is not the second line. It's not jnanam. Okay. It's jnananam jnanam. Okay.
Okay,
Uttamam yat jnatva munaya sarve param siddhim ito gataha. Okay.
yes.
Jnanam. So Krishna is saying this knowledge of the 3 modes of material nature that is going to give in this chapter is the best of all knowledge. And knowing this knowledge, the sages have attained the supreme position, or attain the supreme perfection. Now, what is this supreme perfection he's talking about? He's saying that they have attained their ultimate destination. They are not going to go through the cycle of life and death again. Okay. Now you should understand why this topic is this important. Like when, for example, when you're unwell, what does the doctor do? The doctor will diagnose your symptoms and say, okay, this is what your illness is, right? So similarly, in this chapter, what Krishna has done so far till chapter 13, he's told us, do this, and you can come back to me. He's given us a lot of do's. Now in this chapter 14, he's telling us what not to do. You see the difference? He's telling the symptoms of a person in Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, tamoguna, and he's telling us if you have these symptoms, we need to elevate ourselves to a higher level. So we come to the level of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so he's giving us the symptoms of these three modes of material nature and telling us that we need to elevate from there if you see that symptom within us. Now let's move to verse 4. Okay,
May
I'll
I,
read.
Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तासां ब्रह्म महद्यो निरहं बीजप्रदः पिता. Translation: It should be understood that all aspects of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Now, Krishna confirms in this verse, he's telling that everything is coming from material nature. It's taking birth from material nature. When the 24 elements, 23 elements comes in contact with Pradhana, okay? And that is when the material world, the jivas are born in the material world. Okay, so when the 24 elements interact with each other, react with each other, that's when jivas are born in a universe. So Krishna is glancing over the material universe and is impregnating the material nature, or material nature is also called as Mahat Tattva at this point. Okay, so till then the material world is unmanifest, but when the Lord looks at the material world, all the unmanifest energies within the material world then becomes manifest and the jivas are born. Okay, so Mahatattva is then the cause of the cosmic manifestation. Cosmic is material manifestation. But how can a material world be there? How can a mother give birth without a father? That's a question. And Krishna is responding, I am the seed giving father. So this way, sometimes Srila Prabhupada gives this example that you may see a bag of rice, and some days you feel that there are some creatures crawling out of it, scorpions coming out of a bag of rice, and some might think, what is this, the bag of rice is giving birth to a scorpion, but that's not the case. It's very likely that another scorpion has laid eggs in the bag of rice, and hence scorpions are coming out from the bag, right? Similarly, just because we are born, our body is made of panchabhuta: air, water, fire, and ether, and earth. We are made of these five panchabhutas. So it does not mean we are born from material nature then. We are part of the panchabhuta. We are born because our seed-giving father, the Supreme Lord, has enabled that process, and hence we are taking birth in material nature. Okay, now let's understand verse 5. Okay,
Hey, Mataji.
yes, please go ahead.
Sattvam rajasa tama iti gunah prakriti sambhava nibhadanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O my dear Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, goodness, passion, ignorance, sattva, rajo, and tama. Okay, so all these three gunas is a product of material nature. So in our original form, we have nothing to do with the material nature, right? Just like when rain falls down initially from the sky, it is very pure. So as it keeps falling down and it comes closer to the earth, then it becomes a little more dirty. And then as it depends on where it falls, if it falls inside a oyster, it becomes a pearl. If it falls in a drainage, it becomes sewage. If it falls within a well water, then it becomes nice drinking water, right? Similarly, our soul has initially does not have anything to do with material nature, because the quality of the soul is to be eternal, pure, right? So it has nothing to do with this material contamination. But as we take birth in this material nature, in this material world, then immediately we are covered by these three modes of material nature. So does that mean that a person is always in one type of guna all the time? Can it be that a person is 100% sattva guna, 100% rajo
Not
guna?
possible, Mother.
Yes, it's not possible.
That's what
So
is fine.
yes, just like this color balls that you see, right? Red represents Rajoguna, yellow represents Sattva Guna, and blue represents, uh, yellow represents Sattva Guna and blue represents Tamo Guna. Okay, individually, a person cannot be just one guna. There's a degree of mixes that happens every a single minute of the day. Most likely in the morning, you're more favorably in sattva guna. As you go through the day, you're going to go into that action mode. You're going to get into rajoguna. And as you end the day towards the late evening part, you get into more tamoguna, where you want to take it easy, don't not do anything, just sleep, rest. Okay. So everyone, not just through the day, even while performing certain activities, even like things like you do every day. Someday you want to exercise, when you get up in the morning with full enthusiasm and say, today I will do my exercise. But next day when you get up in the morning, you might say, no, not today, I need to get to work early. So you'll be looking for reasons on why to not exercise, right? So every person, though they might be born with a certain guna, but they are not always going to be. If you look at your astrological reading, there will be some guna, prominent guna mentioned, but that guna is not 100%. It's your prominent guna, but it will, as you go through your life, every day, every minute, every part of your life, there'll be a mix of these gunas going on. So nothing is, 100% there, but also does not mean that if you're born with one prominent guna, that becomes your guna for life. Doesn't have to be. A person may be born in rajoguna, but if they practice better living style, practice more Krishna consciousness or be more disciplined, they can very easily elevate to sattva guna as well. Okay, so we should understand this dynamics of how the guna operates. Okay, so with that, let's go to the next verse, verse 6. So this
May I,
verse,
Mataji?
yes, Sunita Mataji.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakasakam anamayam sukha sangena bannati jnana sangena chanaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Example: Brahmana, scientist, philosopher, poet.
Okay,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. So this verse is talking about a person in sattva guna. It's called the mode of goodness. So what does this verse say? It says, of the three modes, sattva guna is the best mode. Out of the goodness, passion, and ignorance, sattva guna, being in sattva guna, is good. We'll tell you why in some time. So, but sattva guna also has its bondages. Bondages in the sense, if you are too attached to being in sattva guna, then what is the reason for being having that attachment? It will be because the sense of happiness or the knowledge that you're getting. How is that happening? So let's think of a person. So a person of high intelligence, what happens? He gets bonded to the thought that I deserve this kind of respect. If someone does not give them the kind of respect, then they might react very negatively, right? Or if they have too much pride in their knowledge of being right all the time, if someone points at, tells them that this is not right, then they might take it very hard on themselves, right? So this is what it means by being bounded. So even though they are in the best of qualities, but even then, even being in sattva guna, they can be situations where they can fall down. Okay, so these learned men, they become proud of their knowledge. So you see, like for example, the example given over there is a brahmana. That is one example. A Brahmana is a well-educated person, read all the Vedas, read all the Shastras. So they are in Sattva Guna. Okay. Similarly, there'll be other scholarly people like poets, philosophers, scientists, educators. Now, these are all people in the profession of Sattva Guna, because they are learned and in the profession of teaching as well. Okay. And these people work in intellectual pursuits, in other words. So this sense of advanced happiness makes them bound by the mode of material nature. Okay. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness. And because of this longing or the attraction to be constantly in the mode of goodness, what happens? They are reborn with the same kind of body where they continue being learned people, scientists. So if too much attachment to sattva guna means we are going to be reborn with the same kind of body again. So repeatedly, we go through the cycle of life and death as well because of that. However, the positive thing of being in this sattva guna is in sattva guna, this person, because they are in the sense of happiness, they have a more sense of peace of mind. You see that they're not too much disturbed by what is going on. There's a more sense of peace of mind around them. So which means to say they are more happier than compared to others. And in that sense of happiness, ideally, if they are, even if they are in sattva guna, but they are not attached to this sense of happiness and knowledge, in that case, it's easy for them to come to Krishna consciousness. When they are unattached, when they are detached to this sense of me, mine, this is my knowledge, this is my position, when when they have no such attachments, then it's easy for such a person to come to Krishna consciousnesses. And hence, out of the three modes, the sattva guna is the best one to get to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important verse, since we are getting into the three modes of material nature, and the first quality is mode of goodness. Now let's understand the second one, 14.7. Okay, I'll read this. Rajor ragat makham vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibhadnanti kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive action. Okay, so now remember this mode of passion, the characteristic of this mode is it is like an attraction between a man and a woman. So as the passion increases, one develops hankering for material enjoyment and works very hard to please this woman, right? And hence becomes bound to his activities. So attraction to women is attraction to material things. It's not just woman, to any material thing. So that's the mood that one is when one is attracted to the mode of passion. So if the example is, if let's say they want to build a house, it's not building a simple house is not happy enough for these people. They want a very palatial house with big gardens, big best of locations. They want the most modern gadgets in their house. So overall, they want to be known as the person who has things, who has achieved things in life, right? And if they finish building this house, then they may want to buy another property somewhere. So overall, their hankering does not end. So what happens because of that? They're in a lot of debt. They may have money, and if people don't have money, they take loans to make sure their desires are fulfilled, and then they have to keep working till the debt is all taken care of. So ultimately, there's a lot of fruitive activity that gets involved. So let's say all the loans are paid now and all the things they desired for is all taken care of. Does that mean it's the end of their desire? No. It's then there's a then new desires come up, new things they want to target. So desires are never ending in these people. They might think I just want this one thing and I'm done, but that one thing comes, they want two other things. So desires and longings is a common characteristic of a person um, in Rajoguna. Now, a person in Sattva Guna, the good thing about them is that they follow rules, they follow dharma, they follow what is good for the society. They'll follow rules and regulations of the law, because that's what has to be done. They like to do things as a matter of duty. Okay. But for a person in Rajoguna, they will do it. They'll follow the rules, they'll follow the regulations, because otherwise they know that they'll get ill fame, or their money might be lost. So out of fear of law, they'll definitely make sure they follow rules. Okay. So the intention is different. In Sattva Guna, they want to do it because that's the right thing to do it. And in Rajoguna, they do it because they don't want anything to impact them personally. So a person in Sattva Guna, he's overall good to himself and to the society. But a person in Rajoguna, he's definitely good for himself. He's thinking about himself a lot, but maybe not so much about the society in general. Okay, I'm just making the distinction between the two gunas for you. So generally, the person in this mode, he's filled with misery, he's filled with greed, and that is the main characteristic of a person in mode of passion. And the consequence is they go through a lot of miseries, and because of their desires, even they try to fill those desires, but they keep falling to the trap of new desires all the time. And as a result of this, the thing that bonds them is continuously working, doing material fruitive actions. So they keep continuously working like that. Okay. Now let's read about the third guna. तमस्त्व अज्ञानजं विधि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्रभिस्तन्निधानति भारत. Does anyone want to read the translation?
Sarji, may I?
Yes, Ranipita.
O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Hare
Yes.
Krishna Mataji.
This is the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this is a mode of ignorance that's been defined in this verse. So it leads to a lot of delusion. Okay. The mode of ignorance is the exact opposite of the mode of goodness. Now, now in the mode of goodness, one wants to wake up early, one wants to do things which is right, like get up early, do their prayers, do some exercise, be active, be ready in time. But in the mode of ignorance, one ends up just focusing on a lot of sleep. If 8 hours sleep is enough, these people will be sleeping for 12 hours or more. So there's a lot of laziness in their behavior, indolence, laziness. They're totally mad in the way they react to social situations. Like, let's look at an example. So a person who sleeps for 12 hours, what happens then? Then they don't have time to do many of the other things in the day of time. They have to rush through the day. They have to rush to get to office. They have to rush to finish their work on time. And ultimately, what happens because of the rush? They don't have enough time to think about what they're doing. They just do, and they're not thinking about the result of their action, right? Just focus on getting the work done. That's all they can do, right? And as a result of this constant living in stress without thinking through their action, they fall into the trap of a lot of stress. And because of this stress, they fall to other habits, like maybe some stress relievers, some kind of things that can give them some temporary relief, like alcohol, drugs. All this happens because they are not thinking about anything from a long-term perspective. They have no thoughts of spiritual advancement. They are people who are constantly lazy. They are not, even if invited to an association like this, they say, what good it is for me, I'd rather sleep for some more time, right? So constantly they are in this kind of mad rush to act without much thought. So from that comes indolence, laziness, sleep. So this madness, laziness, sleep becomes the binding factor for such a person. Lazy to understand spiritual concept, so they don't see the point of understanding higher living, what is important for them in the long term versus just what is important now. But because they focus constantly in the now, Okay, they're not thinking about long term. So basically they're living a donkey's life. They just go to office, come back, sleep. So eat, sleep, mate. That's their basic task in life. So that's how people react. Now let's say this person goes through some kind of failure, right? Of course, because they have not thought through much of it. They're just living because that's what they need to do. So if this person who is in the mode of ignorance goes through some kind of failure, now a Rajasic person will react differently. They'll take this as a challenge and say, now this is a failure, I need to learn from this, and they'll try to convert this failure into a success somehow. They'll put endeavor, and with effort they'll succeed. But a person who is in Tamoguna, if they fail, they become very despondent, they lose hope, they feel dejected. Okay, like this is the end of it, there's no recovery from it. So that's the mood of a person in Tamoguna. So these persons, they not just they not just hurt themselves, they ultimately end up hurting the society as well by not being responsible around people. They can hurt themselves, they can hurt the society, and this way they're constantly uh, bound by this mode of madness, indolence, and sleep. Okay, that is Tamoguna. So overall, to summarize, this mode of goodness condition, one is in the mode of happiness. They are conditioned to the happiness and knowledge. And in the mode of passion, they are bound by their fruitive actions. And in the mode of ignorance, they are bound by madness, indolence, and sleep. Okay, let's go to the next verse 14 and 15. Yada sattve pravriddhe tu pralayam yati dehabrit tadottama vidham lokan amalan pratipadyate rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangi sujayate tata pralina tamasi mudha yoni sujayate. Does anyone want to read the translation?
I can go.
Yes, Pavan Prabhuji.
When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive actions.
Yes.
And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom.
Yes.
Hare
So
Krishna.
while discussing the previous verses, we briefly mentioned like what is a short-term impact of a person in mode of goodness. Short-term mode of goodness is because they have peace of mind. They are constantly acting in happiness. They are in the mode of constantly happy or in knowledge, and hence they have more peace of mind. While as in short-term, a person is who is in the mode of passion, they are constantly running after fruitive actions. So they are always busy, they're always greedy. And short term, for a person of ignorance, they are always in ignorance, they're always confused. So all these things are happening. But what is a long term effect of this mode? This is explained in this verse 14 and 15. So in anyone in the mode of goodness, when they die in the mode of goodness, they achieve higher planets like Brahma Loka, Janar Loka, Swarga Loka, Tapo Loka. So depending on how elevated they are in the mode of goodness, they will achieve higher planets accordingly. Now, one who dies in the mode of passion, they are reborn in earthly planets, then they engage in more fruitive activities. Okay, whereas a person born in the mode of ignorance, because your consciousness is limited to the level of eating, sleeping, and mating constantly, and they're not lived a human life, ultimately they are born in the lower planetary systems. They're born in the lower planets or as animals. Okay, so this is how the three modes evolve in the next life. So in summary of all what have we heard so far, the mode of goodness, okay, the characteristic of the person in a mode of goodness is they are in knowledge and they have no sinful reactions, but there is a binding force. Their sense of happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, and superiority is their binding force, which could lead to their downfall. But the result of doing constant good activity, more activities in the mode of goodness, is that they accumulate pious credit. Okay, and in the mode of passion, the characteristic is intense unlimited desires and longing. and great attachment, fruitive work. This is the characteristics of a person of a mode in passion. And the binding factors, forces, are attachment to fruitive activities and ropes of desires and attachment. So they keep going back to more desires and attachment. And as a result of this, they are constantly in misery. Okay, and the final category, mode of ignorance, their characteristics is delusion, darkness, madness, inertia. Okay, and the binding force for them becomes madness, laziness, and sleep. As a result of that, they stay foolish. Okay, this is how these verses are summarized in one slide. Now let's understand this previous verse that we went through, right? We spoke about anyone who dies in Sattva Guna will go to higher planets. This is a familiar slide for you. You've gone through this slide before. The 6 upper planets, 7 lower planets, and in between is the Bhuloka, right? So anyone who's constantly in Sattva Guna will go to higher planets. Okay, one in Tamoguna will go to one of the 7 lower planets, and one who is in Rajoguna will come back to material planet. But didn't we just say earlier that a person is not constantly in one kind of guna? So how is it decided that one goes to upper planet, lower planet, or middle planet? So what is that factor that decides? So I'll give you an example. Let's say Duryodhana, right? Duryodhana fought war. He had a lot of ill intentions for Pandavas. So he acted in adharma in not giving the rightful partition of Pandavas to the Pandavas, right? So he was a adharmi, but also he fought in the war like a Kshatriya and died there. One act is impious, one act is pious, right? And hence, because of his act, he will visit lower planets as well as upper planets. Upper planet because he died like a Kshatriya, and like Krishna says that anyone who dies in the fighting will anyway go to Swargaloka. So there's no, so Duryodhana definitely went to Swargaloka because he died in the battle, right? But he has also done a lot of adharma, so which means to say after his visit to Swargaloka, he will also have to visit the lower planets or Naraka, right? So everyone, even you and I, depending on our portion of pious activities, impious activities, and we'll have to visit both the upper planet and the lower planet. Our duration of stay could vary, right? There was a king once, he was giving cows in donation. He was a very pious king. So a lot of brahmanas, he was giving 1,000 cows. First brahmana came, he gave 1,000 cows in donation. Second cow came, he gave another 1,000 cow in donation. But it so happened, one cow from the first batch went to the second batch, and the same cow the king gave which was already donated to the first priest or brahmana. The same cow he redonated to a second brahmana. So this first brahmana said, no, that cow belongs to me. But the second brahmana said, no, you've already given it to me, you can't take it back. So anyway, the king resolved it by giving another 1,000 cow to the first brahmana. But because he had taken back the donation from the first brahmana and given to the second brahmana, he had to face the consequences of that. That is also impious, but the impious activity, this time, because he was a pious person, he did not have to face Naraka, but he had to come back to Bhuloka as a lizard, like this, what is that, monitor lizard, the big ones. So he had to come back, and Krishna saw this lizard in a deep well and took him out. And in that process, he liberated that king. Okay, so that's a pastime. But what I mean to say is every human being, depending on their portion of your pious, impious, you'll have to visit upper, lower, and then you'll have to come back to earth to live the reactions of your fruitive activities. Okay, but how do we break from the cycle of upper world, lower planets, and Bhuloka? That is explained in the next verse. Okay, let's read this verse. Okay, nobody wants to read? Mamcha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Krishna is saying that by following the process of devotional service, one can transcend the three modes of material nature, sattva guna, rajaguna, tamoguna. One can transcend all three and go by following the process of devotional service. And he says by just doing devotional service, one has achieved the level of Brahman already. Brahman is the external feature of very surface level understanding of overall Bhagwan. But as a devotee of Krishna, ultimately we want to achieve Bhagwan himself. But just by starting the process of devotional service, a devotee has already achieved the Brahman realization. And as in how we progress with more devotional service, we go higher and higher. We have Paramatma realization, then we'll have Bhagwan realization. So just by following the process of devotional service to Krishna, we already transcend the three modes and achieve Brahman. Okay, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritsya yasya cha shashwatasya cha dharmasya sukha shukasya saikantikasya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Krishna says he is the basis and the shelter of impersonal Brahman. Okay, the Brahman comes from him, his feature. So it comes from him. So, which he says, even the Brahman part is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is in the position of eternal bliss. So attaining Brahman means we are now free from the contamination of three modes. So we have already transcended, overpassed these three modes. And here we are eligible to engage in the bhakti or devotional service of Para Brahma or the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. So Krishna is the basis of the eternal process of bhakti. From bhakti, we can realize the personality of Krishna. Both Brahman, Paramatma are within Krishna. Thus, by realizing Brahman, we have already started the process of bhakti to Krishna. So by the process of devotional service, we start on the journey to Krishna. And as I said in the first day, all of you have started the process of knowledge. So don't make this knowledge a crown on your head. What this knowledge needs to do for you is make you more humble, get you more engaged in devotional service. Only then this pride that comes with the process of gaining knowledge, that will dissolve, and then we'll get to the part of devotional service. Okay, now there's a very nice understanding. There's a pastime of a person called Mrigahari. We'll understand this pastime to understand how a person who was in the lowest of low professions, how he also was elevated to the path of bhakti by this pastime goes as such. So once Narada Muni, he was going through some place to have some darshan of the Lord, and he had to pass through a jungle. So when he was passing through a jungle, he saw a deer, a stag or a deer. The a deer was shot by an arrow. It was half dead. The legs and limbs were broken. Then he passed a little further. He saw a boar. Same thing, shot by an arrow. The limbs were broken and it was struggling. It was not dead. It is still struggling. Little further, he saw another animal like a rabbit or something. And even this, half killed. It's still struggling, going through the pain. Right now, as he goes further, now curious on who has done all this, he sees this hunter. This hunter is ready with a bow and arrow. He's ready to shoot another animal. And and because Narada came, he was hiding. And because Narada came and he disturbed the ambience there, all these animals that he was trying to shoot, they just fled from there. Right. So he in anger, he reacted and he tried to see who is this person who disturbed my my shooting. So he saw Narada there, and looking at Narada, he immediately asked, why are you here? What are you doing in this remote place? What business you have here? So Narada said, did you kill all these animals on the way? He said, yes, I'm a hunter. My name is Mrigahari. The word Mrigahari means a one who kills animals. And his father had taught him such that um, he took pleasure in killing animals and see them struggle. That's how he was trained by his father from the very beginning. Now, Narada Muni preached to him. He said, if you're going to kill, because you're a hunter by profession, you're allowed to hunt animals. But if you're going to kill, then kill them fully. Don't just keep them half dead and let them go through that suffering, the pain. So Mrigahari asked, why so? How does it matter? It's anyway they're going to die. How does it matter that they are suffering now and a few minutes later I'll kill them? Let them suffer. I'm taking some kind of enjoyment in seeing them struggle. So Narada Muni preached to him and told him that, okay, look, because you're a hunter, you'll not get sin for the fact that you've hunted. But because you're giving them so much pain in that process, because you're letting them struggle, that sin you will face. And all these animals who are facing so much trouble because of you, in future, these animals will have a form where they can come and kill you. So you'll have to live through so many lifetimes, so many animals that you killed. You'll have to live through so many lifetimes so to be killed back by them. Right? But when he heard this, he had a awakening. He just thought of the consequence of such a message that Narada meant, which means that he had killed like thousands of animals, which means to say for every animal he has to take a birth again, and the animal will come and kill him in every birth, all the animals he had killed. So he had instant realization. He asked Narada Muni, what should I do? I have killed so many animals and I've put them in so much trouble so far, in so much pain. So Narada Muni said, okay, if you're willing to listen to me, this is what I want you to do. He said, you need to go back home. All the money that you have, donate to everybody else. Give it to brahmanas, good people. Donate the money, and by the bank of the river, build a small shack or a hut. And you and your wife, you need to plant a nice tulsi, like a place where a platform where tulsi can grow, right? And around the tulsi, you need to sit and meditate. Okay, you and your wife need to sit and meditate. But the hunter said, but how about my food and everything else? Narada said, I'll take care of all of that. Okay, so this said, he had full confidence in what Narada said because he definitely looked like a very knowledgeable person. This hunter did exactly that. He gave up all his material wealth. He and his wife, they came to the bank of a river. They made a small hut and with full honesty started meditating on the name of the Lord. He started chanting the name of the Lord. It said that the fame of this hunter and his interaction with Narada spread so quickly that the villagers around, they started coming to see him, take his blessings. And whenever they used to come, they'll get some food. And whenever someone comes to meet a sage or a saint, they will come with some kind of offering. So they used to come with some kind of food, some grains. So like Narada said, somehow food was getting arranged and he was not even doing anything. He was just sitting and meditating. And this Mrigahari, now he just kept as much as needed and the rest he would redistribute. He did not think of hoarding. What if people didn't come next day and he does not get enough food? No, he didn't even, he grew out of that mentality of killing, violence. He moved to Sattva Guna. And he didn't even think of hoarding food. He just kept giving away whatever is excess. So this way, with full honesty with his wife, he continued practicing. It said that after some time, Narada Muni got a little curious to go check on Mrigahari. So he had a friend called Parvata Muni. So he and Parvata Muni, they come to the same jungle to see how Mrigahari is doing. And from a distance, Mrigahari could see two saintly people walking. And as they came closer, he realized this is Narada Muni. So what he did, he came running quickly to Narada Muni and Parvata Muni. And as he was about to fall down at the feet of the sages, he saw some creatures crawling on the ground like ants. So very carefully, he took his shalya and slowly, carefully moved them around. And he bowed or offered obeisances to the feet of the sages, such that the ants and the creatures crawling around are not hurt. So looking at this, Narada Muni is very happy. He said, this is what exactly happens when one is consciously meditating on the Lord. From being a Mrigahari, he'd become a full saint where he didn't even want to hurt the ants and creatures crawling on the ground. So he had become fully Krishna consciousness. So gradually involving, even a person who is involved in Krishna consciousness like this, initially, even if this person is half-heartedly chanting the Krishna's name, just like Mrigahari, if Mrigahari can be healed from this material contamination, imagine you and I, we are already practicing Krishna consciousness, we already know what is right and wrong, right? But of course, the influence of Narada is such that he can transform everyone's heart. But we should take that instruction from our gurus, from senior devotees, and this way slowly keep consistently trying to transform ourselves. And with that transformation, slowly we'll get to the stage of Shuddha Sattva, where there's no contamination in Sattva Guna. When you are in the Shuddha Sattva stage, it becomes easy for us to accept Krishna consciousness. Okay, that's a very nice story, pastime. And these are few examples of the three gunas and what are the different behaviors that come under each guna. Can someone read me all the behaviors listed under Sattva Guna?
Maya Mataji.
Yes, Sumit Prabhu.
First, Sattva, balance, harmony, positive, peace, clarity, light, creativity, openness, intelligence.
Yes.
Rajas,
Yes. No,
movement,
go ahead.
movement, activity, energy, excitement, passion, desire, agitation, anxiety, egotism. Tamas, inertia, inactivity, negative, apathy, dullness, dark, delusion, depression, ignorance. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yes. So these are the effects of being in one specific set of guna. Okay. Now here are some pictures. Let's go from the top. Tell me which guna does this behavior come in? The top left one.
Sattva Guna.
Sattva Guna.
Yes, Sattva Guna. What is this? Middle one.
Passion.
Sattva Guna. He's doing it.
Raja Guna.
Okay. Everyone agrees, Sattva Guna?
No. Second one is
Ma'am,
Rajas
it's
Guna.
passion,
Rajas
Mataji.
Guna. It is
It's a
passion.
passion,
Rajas
because
Guna.
to go fight in a war, you need a lot of passion. That cannot be done in a person of Sattva Guna. Okay. How about the top right one?
Tamas.
Tamas. Yes. He's drunk, fallen in the bus stand. That's tamas. How about this one? Bottom.
Rajoguna.
Tamas.
Tamas.
The
Yes.
second one is also Tamas Guna. Is it Mataji? Because they're running with a laptop.
No. I'm looking at the bottom left one.
Okay.
Bottom left one is what?
Tamas.
Tamas. Bottom middle one?
Passion.
Rajoguna.
Rajoguna. Here, one lady is giving donations, charity to a beggar. Sattva Guna. Yes. Okay. So to summarize chapter 14, and remember, this is just the introduction to Sattva, Raja, and Tamaguna. In chapter 16 and 17, we go in much deeper to understand how the behavior changes, how knowledge changes, how charity changes, how austerity changes when it comes to these three gunas. So we'll go a little more deep dive in that chapter as well. So for now, just absorb what you have heard, because it's just giving a high level introduction to these three characteristics. Okay. So to summarize this chapter, it says the liberation and conditions of living entities. Krishna is revealing that this information about the three gunas is a best of knowledge, and it has liberated greatest of great sages. And Mother Nature is the mother, Krishna is a seed-giving father. Now, the three modes bind us in different ways. Okay, so we understood that in the mode of goodness, knowledge, and happiness binds you. In the mode of Rajoguna, what binds you is your greed, your a desire for more. All those desires are binding. And similarly, in tamoguna, your ignorance, sleep, and that kind of things bind you. Okay, so the different bodies get bound by different kind of activities depending on which kind of guna they are on. Okay, and we explained how each guna impacts you. And acting and dying within the modes, how differently a person dies. A person in the mode of goodness, he'll achieve higher planets, passion will come back to earthly planets, and ignorance will fall down to animal planets. So how to transcend the three modes? That is very simple. By following devotional service, one can transcend the three modes. And Krishna is saying, I'm the basis of impersonal Brahman. Okay, can someone please read your screen?
May I, Mataji?
Yes.
In the practice of Krishna consciousness, the devotee engages all the gates, the whole body, to reach the state of pure goodness. For example, the devotee uses the eyes and ears to read and hear the scriptures, the nostrils to smell flowers offered to the Lord, and the mouth to taste food offered to the Lord, and to chant the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, you're aware of the slides. You're all welcome to visit our Sunday programs in the temple. This is the address. This address will be part of the slide shared with you at the end of the call. So whenever you have the time, or especially if it's a Sunday, please make it a point to visit the temple and have darshan of Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra Mai. Okay, now we are open for questions. Are there any questions for today?
Mataji, can I ask a question?
Yes, yes, you can.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In Sartuna, we say that giving charity to a beggar, but sometimes it becomes so difficult because giving charity to someone who is really in need, like handicapped or is not able to do any work, is sick. But on the other hand, beggary being a profession, so how do you differentiate that there?
You can't differentiate it at a material level, Prabhuji. But what we can do is try to differentiate, understand the reaction of giving a donation. Giving donation itself is a good deed. That's in Sattva Guna. But how that person uses the donation, is it did you give a donation to a worthy person or a uh, unworthy cause or an unworthy person? That is the distinction factor, right? So when giving a donation, you need to give it. If, for example, let's say there's a beggar, what we do is we always carry some prasadam. Okay, so if you're coming from a temple, going to the temples, there's always some cookies or something in our car, so we make sure we pass on the prasadam, right? Or if there's if a child is begging for food, I'll go to the nearest hotel, buy them some 2 idlis. It may not be prasadam, but it's better than giving them money which might be used incorrectly, or resources that could be used incorrectly. So in this material world, whatever charity we do, the reactions will be mixed for sure, right? Though you gave a donation in the good cause, but the reactions could not be all sattva guna. So we'll just have to be careful what you're giving. Of course, there are a lot of needy people, challenged people. It's better that we engage them in some kind of work if you have the option for it. Or if you still want to give a small donation, some 5-10 rupees, do that. But understand that they can use that donation any way they want it, because it's their money once you have donated it. So there will be consequences of that also. And remember, such things are very small. you know. But if you have a pile of sins in our so many billions of life, these small exchanges of karma, sattva guna, all these things will keep happening. How do we avoid it, right? You buy things from a shopkeeper, he in turn has used that money on some other activities, buying things he should not. But we have to give money to a shopkeeper. How do we stop that? So it's best that whatever you do with a, you can control yourself. You can't control what's happening around you. Correct? So whatever you do with Krishna consciousness. Engage in Krishna consciousness. This is why Krishna consciousness is that important, because you can't control the reactions of your actions, but you can control what you do with yourself. You can engage your soul in Krishna consciousness. You can eat only Krishna conscious prasada. And even if you're buying things from outside, say from a vegetable shop or something, you can offer that food to Krishna, so that whatever we consume, there might be other reactions that happen because of the process of buying from an unworthy person also. It can happen. But what we can do is offer that prasadam to Krishna. So at least what we are consuming in turn, we don't incur more sins for that. And once we are the devotee of Krishna, he'll take care of the rest.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I have had a doubt for quite some time.
Okay.
We are in this human life, we know what karma we are doing, and we
Yeah.
will go to below and above, etc., etc. But when you are an animal, okay, from an animal, how do you come to this human? Because they do not have any
Karma.
such knowledge or karma. How does that
Animals don't
happen?
get reactions, Mataji. They just go
Okay,
through evolution, right? This
okay,
84 lakh species, they're born in the lowest form. They keep going from one to one to one to one form, right? Before
okay,
an animal form, the final is, I think, a tiger, cow, elephant, and a horse. These four
okay,
animals evolve to human life.
okay. So
Karma
it comes
comes
as a
only for,
natural.
yes,
Okay, okay.
karma is just for human beings. Only in this human form, you can break your karma cycle,
Okay, okay, got it. So
right?
once you go
Yeah.
back there, depending upon your
Mm.
karma, you'll have to again climb
Yes,
up all the
all
steps
the way
and
up. Yes, come
oh,
back to
fine,
human.
fine.
So, which is why being in the mode of ignorance is very dangerous. The first question I asked, what is the most dangerous thing, bad thing to happen to a human being, is to fall back into the cycle of being an
Okay.
animal again,
Okay.
because you have completely wasted this human chance. So you'll have to live through, and imagine right now, uh, we are living our life as it is, right? And we are doing pious deeds, impious deeds. We are doing a lot of fruitive activities, which means to say, if you are not in pure Krishna consciousness by the end of this birth, we'll have to go to heavenly planets, upper planets. A few days, months over here could be 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years, who knows, right? In earthly hours, it could, when you translate,
Correct, correct.
like Brahma's one day is 4,300,000,000 years. So if you imagine that, even if you spend a day in Brahma Lok and come back to Earth, and then go through the lower planets, see the reaction, and then you take birth again. Imagine 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, you're already feeling the pain of living in Kali Yuga. It's very unbearable. So if you're born again, say 2 lakh
After
years from now,
10,000, yeah, right, right.
so we'll be in the thick of Kali. How unbearable would that be? Right? How unbearable it be to practice Krishna consciousness in that kind of atmosphere. Already there are so many wars. 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, there are so many wars, so many restrictions, so many so-called secular people who say these people, who follow Krishna consciousness, they are manipulative, ban them. You'll find all kind of people online.
Correct,
So
correct.
few thousand years from today, it's only going to get worse, right? So this time that we have, it's called the golden era. The 10,000 years from the time Lord Chaitanya was born, right? 500 years ago he was born. So another 9,500 years is the golden era, which is the most suitable for practicing Krishna consciousness, because after that Kali is going to deteriorate the situation further.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, the same question what Mataji asked in the previous discussion.
Yes.
So let's say one is fallen down to 84 lakhs, different
Mm.
these, and sometime it happens like some insects or animals, they die very early.
Yes. That's your karma. That's it. They'll be reborn with the next type, next
Okay,
jiva.
so that checkbox is done basically, even if they die early,
It's
right?
done for them, right?
Or done for
But
them,
we
right?
as human, if we are responsible for killing that jiva, there are sins for us.
Yeah, understood, Mataji.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also, Mataji, the three gunas you explained, Rajoguna,
Yes.
Satoguna, and Tamas Guna. So you mentioned like if somebody is in goodness mode, Satoguna, then they get the upper planets,
Yes.
and followed by, let's say, Rajoguna, they get like earthly planet, but in good mode in that sense. And the third one is Tamas, they get in the animal thing.
Yes.
What if somebody has mixture of all, or let's say two of them, then how they evolve in the next life?
They will go through their cycle of whatever planets they have to visit, upper, lower, if it's a mix. And everybody in Kali Yuga, in the current human form, is a mix. Nobody is Shuddha of anything.
Correct. Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
So they'll go through the required upper planet, lower planet, and because of their fruitive activities, they'll come back to Earth. Right? And remember what we discussed yesterday, your desires. Your desires create new lives for you. Right? Let's say you had a desire in, say, 5 lifetimes back to kill a person, but you don't have the karma to kill that person yet. So you may have to live through another 20, 30 lives before you collect enough karma to execute that desire. Right?
Understood.
So what keeps happening? Once you finish your up, down, you come back to Earth, then till the point where you're fit enough to execute that desire, you have to keep being born again. Right? Which is why desire is very dangerous, because you have to be very thoughtful on what you want to desire, because that can keep us engaged in this cycle of life and death. And so our desires always has to be for Krishna. That's the only way we can break this cycle. Even if you have a desire to say, like, vengeful desire of the past, if you're in Krishna consciousness, you naturally break that desire. When a person is naturally conscious about something superior than this material vengeance, anger, then naturally you break that cycle, because you no longer want to execute that desire. So when Krishna sees that you have put a stop to that desire, though you have come through many lives, he can put a break for that cycle of life and death.
Sure, sure. And Mataji, one more thing, basically, so you have a choice. One soul may have a choice. So let's say if somebody has done mix of all the three gunas, at first they want to, enjoy or whatever, fulfill the, tamas thing, and then followed by rajas and followed by sattva, or the order has to be like first then he will go to upper
No,
planets
nothing
and
like that. In fact, when Yudhishthira, because he lied in the battle, right?
yeah, the
It said
Aswasthama.
that it's because he lied, he had to have a darshan of Naraka first, but it's not actually that. Because Yudhishthira, when Krishna told him that you need to say this lie, he actually was so attached to not lying, Sattva Guna, that he thought for a second. He hesitated to execute the order of Krishna, and which is why, because he hesitated to execute the order of Krishna, he had to have Naraka Darshana. It's not because he actually lied. If he had lied without thinking, he wouldn't even have that Naraka Darshana, because it was Krishna's order. Right? So it could be anyway. Sometimes if you have to have a shorter stay in Naraka and a longer stay in heavenly planets, maybe you'll have a quick darshan of Naraka and then go to heavenly planets. It said that Yudhishthira, when he went from Naraka, he went to Swarga, he saw all the Kauravas sitting there, right? So he said, how can my brothers all go through Naraka, and these Kauravas are here? It could also be that because Acharyas say maybe they had a shorter stay in Swarga, so they first were given darshana of Swarga, and from there they'll go to Naraka.
So is that the short stay will be given first?
We don't know. It all depends on how Yamaraja wants to execute the order. So hopefully it's not soon, but when we do meet him, we can ask his question on what is his logic of this versus that.
But Mataji, Santa
Yes.
Tukaram was directly taken also, right?
Yes.
To Goloka. So I
Goloka.
think
He's not going through heaven, lower planets. So that's what I'm saying. If you're in Krishna consciousness, you don't have to go through the cycle of up, down, or anything, right? Pandavas were demigods, right? So their natural position is that of a demigod. For them to go to Swarga Loka is to go back home, to go back to their business. Right? So that's how you understand. So after their life on as demigods, they would go back to Goloka. That's how it is. But Sant Tukaram, like you said, he went directly to Goloka because he has no business with upper lower planets. He's broken that cycle of life and death.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Jai, if there's no other questions, we'll end it for today. And tomorrow is another interesting chapter. I hope you can join on time. Some of you missed, many of you missed today's Vrindavan live darshan because we were playing the Vrindavan live TV today before the class. And we had good darshan of the Lordships today. But those who didn't join early, I'm just putting an enticement in front of you that be on time for the classes. Okay? Jai.
Jai Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam. Pranam
Dandavat
to
Pranam.
everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. I'm going to end the call for everyone.